Hello, listeners. Before we start, I just want to remind you, you can listen to Nighttime early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Handsome Aaron Airport, we did it. 169 episodes of Keeping Canada Weird. They will not stop us. They can't shut this down. How are you doing over there?
I'm doing great. I am the Dick Cheney of podcasting. I am in an undisclosed location. I can't say where I'm at, but maybe I can. What do you think?
Let me give a couple hints first. There's a bunch of curtains behind you. It seems like you're hiding a large window that probably has a scenic view. Maybe, why don't you, without opening the curtains, why don't you tell us what we'd see if those curtains were open?
If I opened those curtains, you would see the CN Tower. Ooh. I am in the T.O.
That's Toronto. I call it the capital of Canada. And you are there on official Keep Canada Weird business. You're investigating the Drake Jagmeet Singh controversy, right? You're seeing if he is in fact a goof?
Yeah, if he's a goof. Unfortunately, I got here and wasn't able to line up an interview with either. I'm just out on the street looking for them, hoping to run into them randomly and then see what happens. And then I'll put the microphone in their face and get to the bottom of this.
Speaking of getting to the bottom of it, I'm at the very top of my special drink. I haven't even opened it yet. We're in the middle of a heat wave here in Halifax. And actually, I think it's the same in Toronto, if not, unless it maybe just passed. It was miserably hot today. So I have a Fresca, which is a very refreshing drink. Ooh. It's super cold. It's almost like, I guess it's just like a lemonade. I love Fresca.
Fresca is a tasty drink. Good. That's a good special drink for you to have because you've kind of dropped the ball the past few weeks on special drinks, but now you're coming out swinging.
This is special, and it's in one of the mini cans, which makes me feel like a giant. Mm-hmm. Nothing makes me feel as much like a man and more powerful than holding like a mini pop can.
Yeah. Like, your wife and your family may not respect you, but the Keep Canada Weird Army does because of how big your hands look around your pop can.
You got anything over there? Do they got special drinks in Toronto?
They don't, but I was able to get some white wine that I have with me because whenever I'm recording in a hotel, the Keep Canada Weird purists and historians know that when I record in a hotel, I have white wine with me as my special drink. Right. So that's what I've got. And I'll take a little sip and tell you how it is.
Don't take too big of a sip, though. I don't want it to be another one of those episodes. When Handsome Aaron Airport has a wine glass in his hand, I know I'm going to be editing all day tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to keep your fingers busy, but the grapes of God are tasty.
They sure are. Do you want to have a little bit of an expose? Do you want to see the dark side of a lesser explored aspect of society?
Yeah. I'd like to get into the underbelly of society and dig around a bit.
We'll do that before we get into last week's weird Canadian news stories. You remember last week we talked about the mall manager and how you would like to date one, and I was kind of on the fence about it, and we talked about, I guess we could say we speculated about how amazing life would be as a mall manager.
Yeah, because my theory was that the mall manager has their own bathroom. And if I were dating the mall manager, I would be able to use their private bathroom instead of going to the public troughs, as we call them.
And that all started because we heard from a listener last week named Julie, who is a mall manager that was happy to see a teenager get beat up by an old man at a Tim Hortons. When Julie heard our discussion last week about her job as a mall manager, she decided to call back in and I guess we can say spill the tea or maybe just pull the curtains back on life as a mall manager. Turned out we got a lot of things wrong, and it turns out she's not interested in dating you. Listen to what Julie had to say.
Hi, Jordan. This is Julie calling in again from Wisconsin. And you guys really brightened my day with the mall manager conversation. Just so you know, it's not that glamorous of a job. My office is by the bathrooms, so I get to listen to all of the noise that comes out of the bathrooms. There's just some drywall separating. My office isn't in a penthouse. It's usually in a back hallway next to the bathrooms. I do have my own bathroom, though. You're right about that. I don't have to use the public restrooms. But I I don't mean to disappoint you, but this job just isn't as glamorous as you've made it sound. And unfortunately, I'm married, so I won't be able to do any kind of like dating with Aaron, even though it sounded kind of interesting. You guys have a great day. I love your show. Bye-bye.
That took it down a few pegs, right? Like, yeah, she has her own bathroom, but an office right next to a public bathroom at a mall, that just kind of sucks.
Yeah. Not the best location for an office, but she did admit, as my theory was last week that I said, she had her own private bathroom.
You called it.
And that's the perks of dating a mall manager.
Would you trade a private bathroom for an office a little further away from the public bathroom?
Absolutely not. I would not trade a private, clean bathroom for anything in the world.
Okay, I like it. Well, we got a lot to get into tonight. Tonight is going to be Dumb Canadian Crime Night, Ridiculous Canadian Crime Night, Roll Your Eyes and Bang Your Head Against the Wall Canadian Crime Night, perhaps. I want to start right off the bat with what may be my favorite story of the night. This one, it's one of those stories that we're going to kind of peel back the onion layer by layer, but it, in the end, is the story of a man who may be Canada's worst and most disobedient driver. 39-year-old Gary Walker has been banned from driving anywhere in Canada since 2012. But take a guess what he was charged with last week, Aaron.
Being too kind to senior citizens.
Wrong. Dangerous operation of a motor vehicle, flight from police, impaired operation of a vehicle, robbery, operation of a vehicle while prohibited, failure to stop after an accident, and breaching a previous order to not drive a vehicle. And there was other charges on top of that. This is a wild story. This is the story of Canada's most disobedient driver. Listen to this one.
A man on a Canada-wide driving ban has been arrested in connection with a string of hit and runs in Mississauga. 39-year-old Gary Walker is also facing impaired driving charges. He was arrested June 12th after police responded to reports of an erratic driver near Dixie and the QEW. Police say officers began a pursuit, at which point Walker allegedly drove on a sidewalk, collided with several vehicles, struck a pole, and then attempted to carjack another driver while trying to get away. Police say Walker is unlicensed and the subject of 9 separate provincial driving prohibitions dating back to 2003.
It said 9 separate provincial driving prohibitions. Would that mean like 9 separate provinces have banned him from driving forever? Or was he banned from driving forever 9 times?
I like the idea of him being banned nine different times. Yeah, well, I like that.
It kind of makes sense. But the thing is once you're already, like, you need to do something awful to be banned from driving. This guy's been banned from driving since 2012. Spoiler alert, I thought I'd like to find out, when I came upon this story, I thought, how did this guy end up getting banned from driving? So I did a little bit of research into his background. I was never able to find out how he got banned from driving, but I did come upon another story from just a few years ago that is basically this exact same story. I want to read a little bit about what this guy did in February of 2023, so just about 2 years ago, and then we can talk about why this guy is free to steal cars and rob people and carjack and everything else. So we just heard a little bit about what happened earlier. He went up on the sidewalk. It was a bunch of hit and runs. He was drunk or impaired at least, and driving while prohibited. Here's a little story from February of 2023. Police in Milton, Ontario are searching for 2 suspects after a violent carjacking in a grocery store parking lot. Around 9:40 a.m. on February 21st, 2 men driving a stolen pickup truck struck a parked Honda CR-V, then violently pulled the female driver from the vehicle and threw her to the ground before stealing it. The same truck had earlier been involved in 2 hit and runs, a gas theft, and even drove through a school fence into a playground full of children. Arrest warrants have now been issued for 38-year-old Sean Moore and 37-year-old Gary Walker of Brampton. Both men face robbery and property crime charges, and police urge caution not to approach them. So as you just heard, basically the same thing 2 years ago. If you're banned from driving, that tells us he did something awful in 2012, because I have never met anyone who's been banned permanently for driving. So this guy did something unreasonable, something highly unusual and wrong. In 2023, he does this, yet somehow he's free now, just 3 years later, to basically do the same thing again. And like, a carjacking is a violent crime. Can they just not stop this guy?
Well, the thing about committing crimes is that you can't be banned from committing crimes, because then they would just be legal things for you to do.
Yeah, like he was already banned from doing all this stuff, and he keeps doing it. So
yeah, and that's the point of being a criminal, is that you're told you're not allowed to do something, but you do it anyway. And so you can't be banned from committing crimes. This guy is a serial criminal, and he's out there just doing what he does best, and that's driving when he's not supposed to drive.
And doing ridiculous stuff while doing it. Ridiculous, dangerous, antisocial stuff. I will say, this is an audio podcast for most people. I implore you to look up this man's mugshot. He looks awful. His mugshot, his face is all beat up, yet he has this smug look with one eyebrow raised, as if he's like, what are they giving me a hard time for again? He looks like his facial expression is like, these police keep giving me a hard time every time I carjack and rob and drive up on sidewalks and through school grounds at 9:40 in the morning.
Yeah, these police officers just don't get me. They just don't understand me. But the carjacking in that circumstance was also videotaped.
Yeah, exactly. And you're talking about the 2023 incident.
Yeah, the 2023 incident was caught on a cell phone camera.
Yeah, and it's horrifying.
And it's also a little weird to see people kind of standing around not helping at all. How did you feel about that? Because when I watched it, I was like, would you step in and help this woman who's being carjacked?
Yeah, so like, just to paint the scene, we're talking about the 2023 carjacking that happens in a grocery store parking lot at 9:40 a.m. Prior to this, he's been tearing around in a stolen truck through school grounds and everything else. The scene in this grocery store is, there's a little Honda CRV, I think is what it was, with a woman driving, and our clown, the Gary Walker, the world's worst and most disobedient driver, him and another guy are opening the doors of the car, trying to pull the woman out of the Honda CRV. She is screaming bloody murder. And yeah, people are just standing around watching. You asked me what I would do in that situation. I don't know. Like, I wouldn't want to get involved, because I wouldn't want to risk myself being the victim of a violent crime. I have kids and stuff, and I would think, one of these guys, I'll go over, try to help. One of these guys will shoot me or pull out a knife or something. But at the same time, if you hear like a woman screaming for help, I think there's a part of you that turns off and you just want to get over there. Maybe I wouldn't put hands on them, but I'd at least, I think, get close and scream and let them know that, I'm watching and filming.
Because there's one person that is filming this.
Yeah.
And just standing there. And in the filming of it, if you look up the video, you can see somebody else standing off just watching. And almost as if, when you're in a parking lot and two people are arguing and you're just kind of checking it out from a distance.
That's probably how it would start, though. You would hear this, and my instinct would be to like look over, be like, what is going on with those people?
Yeah.
But I think just the sound of a carjacking is a lot different than a sound of, like, every time I go for groceries with my husband, he drives me crazy and we start yelling at each other. Like, this is not a couple disagreeing and yelling or something. This is, it sounds like a crime is occurring.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's quite violent, and so it's a little strange to see people just standing around looking. But again, when you're in the moment, you can't really say what you would do until you're there and you're in the thick of it. So I don't know what I would do either.
Yeah,
I would have to be presented with the scenario in real life, in real time, and see what I do. Maybe I would go over and bonk their heads together, and that would knock them out cold.
Oh, the two bad guys. You would just like bonk.
And you know what would happen is I would then pick up the woman and I would say, everything's going to be okay. And then she would look at me in the eyes and say, thank you. I'm a mall manager. You can use my bathroom anytime.
And then you'd be like, but your ring on your finger, aren't you married?
She's like, yeah, but I've been wanting to cheat for years.
This guy sucks. This is a dumb Canadian criminal. It's an awful Canadian criminal. No one should be in the position to be a victim of this guy because it's quite clear that if the courts allow him to be free running wild, he's just going to do this again. I think, if he's before a judge on these new charges, and the old case is presented as well, the judge needs to just throw the book at him. Whatever the harshest penalty is what this guy needs.
He has to be taken off the street. He's proven over and time again that he can't be trusted. It's enough at this point.
Yeah. While we roll our eyes at the Canadian justice system, let's take our first ad break. When we get back, we have not one, but two more dumb Canadian crimes committed by dumb Canadian criminals. We'll get to them after this break. Handsome Air and Airport, I promised a duo of dumb Canadian crimes committed by dumb Canadian criminals. Would you rather hear about a crime involving an excavator or a crime involving a cemetery?
Let's go excavator.
Excavator it is. We've covered excavators involved in crimes quite a bit lately. If I recall correctly, we heard about a bunch of police cars that were messed up by heavy equipment, and we heard about robberies in Newfoundland committed, but with the assistance of excavators. Well, let's go to Ontario. Scarborough, Ontario is now home to one of the most over-the-top failed bank heists. Using a full-size excavator, a group of would-be bank robbers caused massive damage to a Scotiabank and the entire mall plaza that surrounded it. But despite nearly leveling the mini mall, they didn't get a cent. Here's the story of the excavator and the failed robbery.
It was 2:45 a.m. when surveillance video captured an excavator moving towards the Scotiabank at 305 Port Union Road before crashing into it. Part of the building can be seen collapsing, debris falling everywhere. Undeterred, the suspect continues to damage the bank, the latest attempted theft of an automated teller machine in the GTA. The owner of the shopping plaza got a call around 3 a.m. and rushed over to see this.
The damage is pretty bad and very disappointing to see the lengths that people go to try and steal some money.
All day, people stop by, I can't believe it, to see the destruction for themselves.
I didn't think an excavator would be involved in this.
Police are calling it a mischief investigation. No one was hurt, and the suspect fled the scene on foot. The excavator used during the attempted break-in was parked on Port Union Road, where construction is underway. Tracks can still be seen on the pavement, showing the route the suspect vehicle took. We called Grasscan Construction, the company which appears to own this piece of heavy machinery, to ask for comment and to ask how someone was able to start the excavator. Grasscan said no comment.
Maybe a hot wiring technique, but other than that, nothing comes to mind.
This is not the first time heavy machinery has been used in an effort to steal an ATM. Just 3 weeks ago, an ATM was stolen from a TD Bank in Brampton, again using an excavator. And on New Year's Eve, an excavator crashed into a TD Bank at Lawrence and Bathurst, the thieves again making off with the ATM. Anyone who can help with this latest brazen break-in at the Port Union Scotiabank is asked to call police or Crime Stoppers anonymously.
The structural damage is so bad right now that we cannot get inside yet to make a full determination of just how severe it is.
One thing about that story that I want to mention, they referred to the excavator as the suspect vehicle. Yet they described that there are tracks leading from a construction site to the bank, where the bank and the plaza are like flattened and the excavator is standing there. At what point can the news just call it the vehicle responsible for the damage?
I'm not sure why they choose the language that they chose, but
it seems like they're just trying, like almost like allegedly. Are they calling it a suspect vehicle because they're not ready yet to say the excavator is what flattened this?
I guess since they don't have actual video surveillance footage of it happening, it's only an assumptive situation right now.
The stolen excavator that's parked right there may end up being unrelated.
Because maybe, there are two separate circumstances here that are unrelated, where the excavator drove into the building and then the driver took off. That's crime number one, done. And then somebody strolls by and notices that the building has collapsed and there's a bank machine there. So they decide, hey, I'm going to take that.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think they took the bank machine. This is a bit of a complicated one. In that news story, they described other situations similar to this in which heavy equipment like excavators were used to pull ATMs out of the walls and stuff. In this case, the articles are all written as if the perpetrators didn't get money and were unable to successfully gain access to the bank. That's always how the statements are written. So in the end, it says it's being investigated as mischief. So it seems like maybe they were trying to break into the bank and couldn't get into there. So I don't think they got an ATM, although most banks, like the ATM would be in this little like doorway in the front or even on the exterior of the building in some cases. And when you look at the damage to this building, I don't see what kept them out. Like you see these big concrete blocks that are all broke up and the roof is missing and everything else. So I don't think there would be any way these guys couldn't have grabbed an ATM. But when you read the articles, maybe there's a reason. Maybe they don't want to publicize the fact that everybody is getting ATMs using excavators successfully.
Yeah, so we don't really know. The only other way I could see it happening is that when they smashed into the building, the bank machine got pushed deep into the rubble, and then they weren't able to like see it. And then they're like, I don't have enough time to rummage through this rubble. I have to leave right now on foot. So,
well, you know how we could figure it out, right?
You want to rob a bank with an excavator?
You're in Toronto. Scarborough is a suburb of Toronto.
Oh, you want me to go on foot?
You have your Keep Canada Weird badge with you, I'm sure. If you wanted to get on the airplane and everything, you would have had that with you. Go over there and just like they'd have it all blocked off, and you'd be like, "I'm here with a podcast."
Yeah.
And
I
the
could.
cop would be like, "What do you guys cover?" And you'd be like, "We do a weekly roundup of weird Canadian news, and I just want to take a look around at the scene."
I'm too focused on Drake and Jugmeat to really focus on that. I think I'm feeling a lot of pressure from you right now to take on more than I'm capable.
Okay.
And I do want to put my foot down here and say no.
Okay. We did in prior episodes where we talked about excavators and heavy machinery and heavy equipment being used for evil like this. If I recall, we went down a rabbit hole that led us to the understanding that they are very easy to start. Like often
because
the
keys are the same. Like for that model of excavator, you're going to have that key will work on any other of the same model. So,
and I bet you a lot of workers just leave the key in there because there would be so many people like sharing it and stuff, you would think.
Exactly.
So it's almost like if they want to prevent this, which they being law enforcement, and I'm assuming they do because it's pretty ridiculous that this happens. There just needs to be some kind of regulation for the excavators or something. It's not like a car. Like you could do serious damage with an excavator or a bulldozer or something. So I almost feel like there should be some accountability for how you store that stuff.
Well, they have to start making them with unique keys the way cars are. So why can't they just start doing that? Well, I'm sure the people who make them could perfectly explain why that's a giant pain in the ass and they don't want to do it. But that needs to be, because this is a few times we've talked about this on the show. So this is starting to happen. This might need a name, where we have the puberty problem, the animal uprising. We need to now possibly talk about giving the excavator situation its own branding.
Well, we should brand it, but we should also have a listener out there who has any kind of knowledge of heavy equipment, or maybe a listener's married to someone who drives a bulldozer or an excavator. Ask them, how do thieves manage to start these things and drive them to banks and tear out the ATMs? Is it some elaborate hot wiring scheme like you would have seen in the movies in the 80s? Or is it as simple as Aaron and I think, and there's just keys laying around everywhere and they're all the same anyway? It's
I think you can order copies of the keys. You can probably get them online in some capacity.
Maybe, but I feel like a lot of these are crimes of opportunity. Like one of the crimes they discussed
you're probably right.
One of those events we heard described in that article was New Year's Eve. Imagine on New Year's Eve in the middle of your wild night out celebrating the upcoming New Year before midnight and you get your New Year's Eve kiss. You decide to steal an excavator and go bust up a bank and take an ATM. Like that is a wild New Year's Eve.
But the thing is that if you are planning this ahead of time, New Year's Eve is a perfect time to plan to do it.
That's
because
true.
you know that they're not going to be working. Nobody's going to be on the site. You're able, if you did order the keys online ahead of time, of course, New Year's Eve is a great time to do it.
It's almost the perfect crime.
Yeah, we're planning one out right now, you and I, because we're coming up with great ideas.
Yeah, it could be it can be like a live episode. We can record, we'll mic up and go. What I won't do though, even for this podcast, is rob a graveyard, rob a cemetery. I don't know if there's any better way to find yourself cursed or haunted or the victim of a poltergeist type situation than robbing a cemetery like some people did in Nova Scotia last week. Volunteers at a small cemetery in East Stewiacke, Nova Scotia, said they are left heartbroken and violated after an overnight break-in. The theft included tractors, trimmers, gas, and even a headstone leveling system. And the whole thing crippled the cemetery's ability to care for the 3,200 people buried there. Here's the story of the dumb Canadian criminals that robbed the dead in Nova Scotia.
It's a place of peace and rest that recently became a target. Pine Grove Cemetery volunteer Denny Lake arrived Wednesday morning expecting another routine day. But as he approached the shed, he knew something was wrong.
When we seen the lock, when I swung the doors open, it was like, well, I done a lot of cursing and swearing.
Thousands of dollars worth of tools like lawn tractors, trimmers, even jugs of gas. The essentials for keeping this cemetery maintained and cared for, stolen.
Anybody that would come into a cemetery and take what they took, we have no feelings.
All of it was kept behind a locked door and steel gate.
It looks like they used a battery or power grinder to grind the lock off because they left shavings at the bottom on the steel door.
This isn't the first theft, but it's the worst. The loss could reach $20,000.
It's really annoying me. I can't sleep. I keep thinking of how we can find the stuff.
For the volunteers, it's not just about the equipment. It's about honoring the people buried here and their families.
Anybody with any conscience or any feelings, don't do that to a cemetery. You can be the worst thief in the world. Don't do that to a cemetery.
Getting the person, it's not going to do any good. Getting the equipment is going to do all our loved ones more than anything in this world.
Oh, that makes me sad. The two guests, the two volunteers, the man who discovered the theft and the older lady that was there speaking as well, they did a good job of like making me feel bad. Like I want to get the bastards that did this.
Mm-hmm. When you're picking places to rob, why would you pick a cemetery? Because to me, I'd be so concerned about the ghosts and the zombies kind of coming after me after I take all the equipment that is there to take care of the cemetery.
Yeah, just like why would you risk the spiritual trouble? You know what I think is off limits when it comes to crime is like, yeah, graveyards and cemeteries. Churches is another one. It's just it's not
like an orphanage. You wouldn't want to steal from an orphanage.
A hospital.
Yeah, a hospital.
That's probably it. Those four places. A food bank. You wouldn't steal from
the house of a host of a Canadian podcast about weird Canadian news. You wouldn't want to do that either.
Yeah, like just if you like say they're in Toronto, you know their place is empty. It's like it wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah. That's a very specific thing that you just said. Yeah.
Well, these guys, you know, in this case, I would never think that a graveyard would even have anything of value. Like, of course, they would have. You see a building on the graveyard where there's going to be like a lawnmower and like a couple shovels and stuff used for basic maintenance. But I wouldn't think like, we can take that stuff. What kind of person would come up with that? You're basically like I guess a grave robber, like the people who dig up the bodies to like take jewelry and stuff, that's definitely worse. But this is like, you're kind of rubbing elbows with the kind of people who dig up bodies and take jewelry from the dead.
Yeah, it's too close for comfort for me. Not that I support any crime of any type, but if you've decided, no matter what anybody says, I am going to steal something, I would strongly recommend staying away from a graveyard. Because just the karma, the spirits have a way of finding themselves weaving into your life and causing chaos, and just stay away.
Karma will get these pricks. I don't think this was said in the video, but in the written article that goes more in depth to the financial aspect of this graveyard, which is run entirely by volunteers in a small town in Nova Scotia, they're owed about $20,000, and the whole thing's uninsured. I would have thought a graveyard would have had insurance on this stuff, but maybe just because it's like a small kind of volunteer-run graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
But that's 20 grand uninsured. How are they going to get that stuff replaced? Like that's a lot of money to be owed. And I'm thinking that that's the kind of business, like if you're in the grave cemetery business, there's probably a low kind of profit margin on what you're making anyway. And like any money spent on landscaping and stuff is just kind of like money out of your pocket. I can't imagine there's a lot of money in this. To take 20 grand, come on, these pricks. It bugs me.
You've said the P word a couple of times tonight. So doing an episode fully on dumb Canadian crimes, I think is affecting you in a way that I'm concerned about.
Well, what can we do? How can we help these people?
These people? Well, we're drawing attention to the issue.
Okay.
So I would suggest anyone who's looking to donate money can donate some money to this volunteer cemetery and get them some new equipment.
Yeah, and if anyone has any info on this, who knows? Maybe someone out there does. I would love these people to get busted. And the volunteers who run the graveyard are offering a $1,500 reward for any information leading to... It seems like they don't want the suspects. They don't want these people arrested. They just want their stuff back. I'm more like, let's get the people. Like, because these are nasty people, in the words of Trump.
Well, the people who volunteer at this graveyard, all they care about is the graveyard functionally running. So I don't think that they care either way if the person gets caught or not. I think they just want to make sure that the graveyard is taken care of.
That's fair.
And so either way, let's get them their equipment, whether it's purchased brand new or returned to them from the thief.
Well, they're offering for the thieves, they being the graveyard, is offering the thieves to just drop the stuff off, no questions asked, and we're good.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about that. I want to get them. What I would like to know, though, is who they are, and maybe not get them right away. Like, it would be very fun to screw with them for a while.
Yeah.
And convince them that their house is haunted. Karma's gonna get them. And then what we would do is scare them by dressing up as ghosts and carrying it so far that eventually they're so scared that they drop all the stuff back off, take the graveyard up on their offer, drop all the stuff off, and it's at that point that we contact the police.
That's a good plan. It's a good plan, but we'd have to sit down and really hash out how we can realistically portray ghosts to these people.
And it would, we bring up Beetlejuice a lot. Would this not turn into our own version of like Keep Canada Weird Beetlejuice?
Yeah, it could in a way. See, but at the same time, with us pretending to be ghosts, I would worry about upsetting other ghosts that are seeing us, posing as them. So maybe the best thing would be to conjure actual ghosts and somehow direct them towards the thieves and have an actual haunting occur. And that's maybe the best way to go about this.
Yeah, we've talked about a lot of psychics on this show that could maybe help us.
Yeah, I'm sure you and I can figure it out. We have ChatGPT and Google and whatever else we need to do to figure out how to conjure ghosts.
Okay. We'll research that. Let's take our second and final ad break while we do. And when we get back, we don't have any more weird Canadian news stories or dumb Canadian crimes or criminals, but we do have a couple very interesting pieces of voicemail that I'm excited to get into. We'll hear from the correspondents of Keep Canada Weird right after this break. Handsome Aaron Airport, lately we've been ending the show with stories about seniors and dating profiles. I have something along the lines of both, but before I do, I want to pass the mic to an old voice from our past. You remember Norm from Vegas?
Oh, Norm. Yes. It's been a while. Mm-hmm.
He had a big beef with Randy. Back in the day. We're probably talking about episode 50 or so. Him and Randy there was a bit of a debate about which of them was the creep, but in the end they buried the hatchet and all was well. But Norm came out of the woodwork to give us his opinion on what we should rebrand the puberty problem to. Listen to what Norm has to say, because this may be the best idea we've been presented with yet. Here it comes.
Hey, Jordan and Aaron, this is Norm from Vegas. Just wanted to call in about the name for the puberty problem. Looks like you guys are considering possibly changing it to puberty pushback or something like that. If you guys are going to open it up, I would like to submit a new name, which is teen tyranny. I think it better captures the nature of the problem. Puberty problem could be pretty much anything, could be acne, could be problem with girls, could be a squeaky voice, whatever. And if you're worried about your merchandise and that kind of stuff, not looking for a commission, and you could have the shirt with the words teen tyranny and the circle with a line through it thing. So just wanted to see what you guys thought. Keep keeping it weird. Bye.
It's great to hear Norm again.
Yeah, it's great to hear from Norm. Norm is a classic, as I call them, a classic caller. So thanks, Norm. We appreciate that.
He's offering up teen tyranny, no questions asked, just like that cemetery's offering the thieves. No commission. He's even designed a shirt. It says teen tyranny. It has the circle with the line through it, like the no smoking thing.
Or the Ghostbusters.
What do you think of teen tyranny?
I think it's really good. I only have one slight concern about it. When you say teen tyranny together, you really have to hit that N at the end of teen, or else it sounds like you're saying team tyranny. So if we do use that, whenever we say it, we have to make sure we hit that N and be like teen tyranny.
Yes, it's you really got to enunciate that. Yeah, it doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. It sounds good, but you really need to shape that with your mouth.
You really do, yeah, because I noticed when Norm first said it, it did sound a little like team tyranny.
As if it was a group. Like, it sounds like they play like Pokemon cards or something. They show up at the comic book shop.
Or pickleball or whatever.
Like, oh no, Team Tyranny is here.
And they're here to pound us with their pickleball rackets.
I do like the name, though, because the puberty problem, you can't just say it. You need to then go on to explain it. Mm-hmm. But I do like that the puberty problem branding does open a conversation that I think more people need to be having about misbehaving teenagers.
Yeah.
So maybe having some kind of fog around the branding is good because it serves as the venue for that conversation.
Yeah, I agree with Norm when he says that puberty problem could mean a lot of different things. The best-selling feature of puberty problem is how it sounds. Just as it rolls off the tongue, puberty problem. It has a rhythm to it. It's powerful because you have those plosive P's.
And the B too, like puberty problem.
Puberty problem. Yeah, no, it really packs a punch. But I understand the concerns of it, so that's why we're taking this whole thing very seriously, and taking Norm's suggestion very seriously, and taking it under consideration as well.
Yeah, we will. We will think about
absolutely.
it. Yeah, we'll do some mock-ups of the shirt design, and we'll see how they look.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Something else we take very seriously around here on Keep Canada Weird is stories about our beloved senior citizens. I have a voicemail here from Stacy. if you trace this whole thing back, Stacy is the wonderful lady in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, who first sent us in the first seniors eating ice cream story we aired on this show. Stacy's calling in again, and I think she wants to encourage us to take it to the next level.
Hello, Jordan Bus Stop, Backhoe Bonaparte, and Handsome Aaron Airport. This is your Dartmouth correspondent, Stacy, calling in. I had an idea for you guys that I'd like to share. I am the Stacy of the Loving Seniors Eating Ice Cream topic, and I feel like every week we get a story about seniors loving ice cream or just seniors living their life. And why not on, like, let's say there's a National Seniors Day. Why not on that week? Do you not do an entire segment on what people enjoy about seniors? And I think that would be really cute. I love you guys, as always. Thanks for the content, and bye!
Her idea is an episode along the lines of Entirely Tires, devoted entirely to the many gray-haired angels and warriors out there that we call senior citizens. She pitched the idea of, like, what do people like about seniors? Maybe that's an idea, but I just thought, like, I thought you and I doing an episode with seniors would be more interesting.
Oh, like we have a senior on the show.
We could interview them, and I'll tell you, I have access to seniors. My grandmother lives in a senior's home.
Interviewing them is not the way to go. I think just giving them an ice cream cone and just watching them eat it.
Yeah, it'd be like a silent episode.
Well, we can comment like, "Oh, you got a drip coming down there," or "Oh, good, good circulation with the tongue. Work it." Like that. Yeah, I love it.
Wait, stop.
Or whatever you want to say, whatever I want to say, or
there's a lot of good ideas there, but I think an entirely seniors episode is a given. It's coming this summer, Stacy.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, we definitely need to do that. What will we call it? That's another.
I think entirely seniors. And it's an episode entirely about seniors.
So that becomes the branding then for an episode about one thing.
Right.
So entirely tires, entirely seniors, entirely excavator crimes, entirely
teen tyranny,
entirely puberty problems. Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see about that one. I don't want to try to play with that yet. But yeah, Stacy, I agree 100% that's going to happen. I'm going to talk to my grandmother. I have a 92-ish year old grandmother who's living in a senior's home, surrounded by seniors. They all go down at like 6 o'clock to sit at the tables and have coffee and muffins and stuff. I'm sure they would let us go in there and chat with some people. And you know what? I bet you listeners of Keep Canada Weird, when they met my grandmother on the show, they would then see why I have such an affinity towards senior citizens. My grandmother's an absolute delight.
I have a really good senior citizzen in mind as well. I won't say who it is right now, but if we decide this, he's available to record, and he's been on podcasts before.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Yeah. So I'll just leave it at that. But
it'll be a surprise senior citizen guest. Well, we'll talk about that. Let's start wrapping this up, though. There is something I want to do before we leave. I feel bad starting off the show tonight with the voicemail from the mall manager who wasn't interested in dating you. I know you're on vacation. You're probably living your best life there. And that voicemail may have brought you down a few pegs. So I'm going to play you something special here that I think is going to cheer you up. You remember last week we ended the show with a listener who was basically presenting a Keep Canada romantic dating profile, but only for you. You remember this?
I was wondering if Handsome Aaron Airport is on the market. I think we would be a pretty good match.
Oh, yeah, right. Yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
Well, listen to this. This anonymous message in response to that last week just came through.
Okay.
I'm just going to say it. Everybody has a crush on Aaron. Nancy ain't special.
Shots fired. So you know what? If that mall manager doesn't want anything to do with you,
Oh, man.
if she doesn't want to do any dating with Aaron, plenty others do. Cheer up, buddy. Hold your head high.
Yeah. So that particular mall manager doesn't want anything to do with me. However, are there any other mall managers out there that might be interested in dating with me?
Doing dating with me?
Yeah.
I like dating as a verb. Like,
yeah. I can't date with you right now.
I can't do any kind of dating with Aaron.
I can't even think about dating with you. I can't even talk about dating with you. I'm just so wretchedly married right now.
If you end up over at the mall there, in Scarborough, investigating that attack, maybe you'd be like, "Hi, like I'm with a podcast. We do a weird news roundup. I want to look around at the site. Could you?" It's like the mall manager here.
Is the mall manager female?
Yeah, it could get interesting. Anyway, Aaron, I hope that cheers you up.
Yeah, it felt nice. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Anyway, it was anonymous, so I love a good anonymous voicemail.
Yeah, I'm always excited when it shows up that it's anonymous. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Here we go, something juicy.
If you're willing to tag your real name on it, I don't necessarily have time to listen.
Not to the front of the line.
All right, let's put a bow on this one. This has been great. Handsome Aaron Airport. I hope you enjoy your time in Toronto, but Handsome Aaron Airport, until next time.
Jordan Bus Stop Backhoe Bonaparte, until next time.
If you see an excavator parked anywhere in Toronto, hop in, see what you can do. If you're at a grocery store, you see a bunch of butter and ghee, risk it all, run off with it. And if you get banned from driving, what the hell? Shouldn't have been doing that stuff anyway, so do it again.
Yeah, and Jordan, until next time, I may be in Toronto right now, but I'll always, when I close my eyes, be with you, keeping Canada weird.
In Halifax.
In any town, Canada.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. If you've got a news story from your area that you'd like to share with us, or have any thoughts or theories or opinions on anything we discussed tonight, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us by using the voice recorder that can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. And on that topic, I want to give a big thank you to this episode's correspondents. If your voice message was aired tonight, you can email me your address. My email is nighttimepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll get a Keep Canada Weird badge and swag pack sent out to you. I just ask that you wear the badge proudly and responsibly. Next, a big thanks goes out to Aaron for another great night, Nicole for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data for the outro version of O Canada. And then, of course, a sincere and massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening. Your support makes this show possible. And if you'd like to support the show even more, please consider a subscription to the premium feed, which can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/subscribe. The premium feed costs just a couple dollars a month, but that money will fund the creation of new episodes of the show, and it'll give you those episodes 2 days early, ad-free, and access to a back catalog of episodes. And even if you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by sharing this episode on social media. That helps a lot too, and it's free. Your support is very much appreciated. So with all that said, until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and together, let's keep Canada weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere. Good night.
Hi, Jordan and Aaron. I feel like sending this right now because currently I'm shitting my pants by the fact that I have a snake in my car. And I bet you're thinking, what the hell? What do you mean you have a snake in your car? Kid you not, I have a fox snake in a box and I have to take it to a wildlife sanctuary. I'm tweaking out. I am so scared. Oh, I hear the snake. Oh, I hear it. I'm sorry. I can hear it moving in the box, and I hate this. Please. Let me tell you this. I would do anything right now to not be in this situation, but I'm saving a snake. And it's so scary. So, anyways, love the show. Keep Canada weird. Please, please, I swear, I hate this so much. Please air this. This is torment. Actual torment.